Good morning. Welcome to the July 17th, 2018 special meeting of the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors. You please rise if you can and salute our flag. Mr. Lutz, will you please lead us?
Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
Announcements. This is a time for board members and county staff to provide updates of upcoming county events that may be of interest to the public.
Are there any board announcements? Staff? Ms. Callahan.
Hi, Rebecca Callan, Auditor Controller. I just wanted to come and let the public and the board know that I received notification that we had earned the Government Financial Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the 14th year in a row. That has occurred under me for 8 years. My first year in office, I actually had to do 2 fiscal years worth of reporting, and I was able to get that award 2 times in that first year. So it's a total of 14 years that we've managed to get that award. It is the highest form of recognition in governmental accounting and financial reporting. That is for the CAFR, the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report that we do annually. And I think that it helps really put us in the light of transparency and the ability to make a really good report for the readers, the public, and bond rating agencies and financial industry experts. So I'm very pleased. I want to thank my staff because I really kind of put them through the ringer at this time of the year to ensure that we have that level of reporting. So thank my staff, thank departments for working really hard to get that information to us, and I'm really excited that we were able to get that award again.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Any other staff announcements? Seeing none, Madam Clerk.
Public comment. Any item of interest to the public that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board and is not posted on the consent or regular agendas may be addressed during public comment period. California law prohibits the board from taking action on any matter which is not posted on the agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the Board of Supervisors. If public comment is completed before the 30-minute allotted time period, the board may immediately move to the next order of business. If public comment is not completed during the allotted time period, it will be continued as the last item of business in order to provide an opportunity for the remainder of comments to be heard.
Public comments. Any public comments?
Before I comment, I have a question on a possible point of order. I didn't notice an opportunity to pull any consent agenda items.
We haven't got to the consent agenda items.
Very good, thank you. Last Tuesday, an overwhelming majority of people clearly told you, we don't want you to adopt a policy funding the whole code enforcement enterprise by exacting more fees, fines, and penalties. Nobody made a motion to reject it, but a motion by Supervisor Mills that appears to me to be in violation of the Brown Act carried unanimously. After public comment on the agenda item was over, Mr. Mills put forward a motion containing a critical element that wasn't on the agenda. The directive to staff to set up what were, in my opinion, misleadingly termed town halls. People were deprived of our opportunity to comment on this, and I request that it be agendized for a future meeting to cure and correct that error. To quote, a town hall at each one of the districts to explain it and allow public input. Allow public input. Dictators allow public input. Representatives seek it out and cultivate it. And explain it to us. You're the Board of Supervisors, not the Board of Education. We've listened plenty and carefully. It's time to listen to us. The definition of a town hall is an event at which public official or political candidates address an audience by answering questions posed by the individual members. And Ethan went on to say that it wouldn't hurt us to have more public hearings. I can explain this to people. Ethan's job might be writing and defending indefensible policies, but it's not to educate us. His condescending remarks depicting valid public concerns as hysteria accompanied by dramatic gesticulation, eye-rolling, exaggerated expressions of dismay when a false and misleading narrative was challenged were reprehensible. It's not his job to give us a sales pitch for a policy he helped author that coincidentally happens to fund his salary. Do you see the conflict there? In a recent poll paid for with public funds and a transparent effort to help you sell the TOT tax, a majority of respondents said you guys are on the wrong track. Now you want to spend our money to educate us about 8.06. Your propagandizing is unacceptable. Many of us understand 8.06 fully well, and more importantly, we're the ones who would have to live with it. So stop telling us what to believe and listen to what we're saying to you. You're not Mary, and we're not your little lambs, so don't try to herd and fleece us. Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Al Sagala, Taxpayer Association. Just an update on our upcoming annual barbecue. I guess it'll be the 10th annual barbecue. We have two new speakers. One of them is our sheriff, Rick DiBasilio, and the other one is our head of our Mark Twain school, not school, Mark Twain Hospital District, Randy Smart. Each of them will be talking for 10 minutes and bring us an update as to what's happening in those areas. Thank you.
Other public comments?
Good morning. Bonnie Newman from Double Springs. This is in response to the debacle or tragedy that happened yesterday at Helsinki. Definition of terms. Number 1, collusion. A secret agreement for fraudulent or illegal purpose. A secret understanding between two or more persons to gain something illegally, to defraud another of his or her rights, or to appear as adversaries through an agreement. Number 2, conspiracy. An evil, unlawful, treacherous, or surreptitious plan formulated in secret by two or more persons to accomplish some end. Number 3, cabal. A plan by a small group of highly placed persons to overthrow or control a government. Number 4, corruption. Moral perversion, depravity, loss, or destruction of integrity. Number 5, obstruction. The interruption, hindrance, or opposition to progress. The blockage of forward movement. The delaying or preventing of business before a deliberative body, especially a legislative group, by parliamentary contrivances. Number 6, fabrication, lying, the telling of false, deceptive, misleading facts, deliberate falsehoods, and recently alternative facts. Number 7, malfeasance, wrongdoing or misconduct, especially by a public official. Number 8, treason, betrayal of trust or confidence, breach of faith, disloyalty or treachery to one's country or government, any attempt to overthrow or impair the well-being of a state to which one owes allegiance, an act intended to incite hostility, ill will, or disaffection, the crime of giving aid or comfort to the enemy. Number 10, treachery, betrayal of trust, faith, or allegiance, disloyalty. And finally, number 9, traitor, one who betrays his or her country, cause, or friends, one guilty of treason or treachery. And number 11 is impeachment, the accusation and formal charges of a public official before an appropriate tribunal of crimes or misconduct in office. What we saw yesterday was horrible. I spent the morning watching the absurd spectacle on TV. I hope everyone has a chance to read the indictment. Thank you.
Here under public comment, it says that it's supposed to be subject matter within the jurisdiction of the board. And I'm not sure why you just let that 3 minutes go on. That had nothing to do with anything with it that is within your jurisdiction. And I'm getting kind of tired of watching these meetings, coming to these meetings and seeing that time is being taken just to rip on our president. It has absolutely nothing to do with anything you can do and why that's allowed. And I'd like an explanation for that.
I wasn't going to get up, but now I am. Vicki Reinke, representing the Calaveras County Republicans. I agree with what was just said, and I think that people have to realize there's two messages, and what was just read here, I could get up and say, were you talking about Obama and Hillary Clinton? So you know what? We don't need to go there. The people of the United States support what Trump is doing for our country. It's going to be a better country. So I just want to make sure that people understand that there are two sides, and thank you.
Any other public comments?
George Fry. I was shocked and aghast at what happened yesterday in Helsinki. And not everybody in the United States supports Trump. 67 million people voted for Hillary Clinton. Trump got 63 million votes. And if you look at all of our representatives that have spoken thus far in the Congress and the Senate, you would obviously know that they're not very happy, both Republicans and Democrats. This is an all-time new low for our country. It just totally shocks me that this kind of stuff can go on and throw our intelligence agencies under the bus. It is totally disgusting. And I'm sorry that some people don't grasp it.
Any other public comments? Seeing none, I'll close public comments. We'll move on. Madam Clerk, consent agenda.
Consent agenda items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any board member, staff member, or interested party may request removal of an item from the consent for later discussion.
Is there any board member wish to pull an item? No? Any staff pull an item? Any member of the public wish to pull an item?
Item 2, item 3, and item 4.
All right, we have one item remaining. I'll open for a motion.
So moved.
A motion by Supervisor Garamendi,
I'll second it.
second by Mills. All in favor?
Correction.
Yes.
Second by Clapp.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. Second by Clapp. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0, one absent. Moving on to item number 2. George, you had a question on item number 2.
I'll read item number 2 if that's okay.
Okay.
Item number 2 is County Council amend fee waiver retainer agreement with Remy Moose and Manley LLP to add $75,000 for legal services in case number 18CV43043.
come to the microphone, please.
It looks like 2 and 3 are the same.
What's your question?
I'll get to it. Don't be pushy. I would like to know what the $75,000 is. Expound on it, please.
Any other public comments? No?
I noticed that 2 and 3 were different because they're different case numbers, but my question is, do these have to do with cannabis cases?
Okay. Any other? If not, I'll refer to county council to answer those questions.
Yes, number 2 and number 3 are different cases. They are 2 separate cases that have been filed, and yes, they are cannabis-related cases. The addition is for ongoing, the case, there have been changes in the case and ongoing costs. The initial contract was for the $50,000 to get the case started. We did anticipate that the cost of defense would exceed that amount, and so this is the amount that outside counsel has suggested to be the cap at this point to continue defending the case, both cases.
Okay. Bring it back to the board. Have a motion.
So moved.
Motion by Supervisor
I'll
Mills.
second that.
Second by Supervisor Clapp. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0 with one absent. Moving on to item number 3. Madam Clerk.
Item number 3 is County Council amend fee retainer agreement with Remy Moose and Manley LLP to add $75,000 for legal services in case number 18CV43036.
George, you pulled this one too? George? You pulled this one too?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Same question.
Can you come to the microphone, please, so people at home can hear and see you?
Same question as number 2.
Bonnie, you have a question also?
This is a fee waiver and refund request procedure regarding,
You're on the wrong item, ma'am.
No, we have to do number 3, even though... you
oh,
talked-
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
All right, any other? If not, bring it back to the board. Oh, excuse me. Madam Counsel, can you please answer the question?
The same answer applies to number 3. They are different cases, and it's just for the cost of ongoing defense.
We've closed public questions, so. All right, it's back at the board. Looking for a motion?
So I'll make the motion. Second.
I have a motion by Supervisor Clapp, a second by Mills. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0 with it one absent. Moving on to item number 4. Madam Clerk.
Item number 4 is from the Administrative Office, adopt fee waiver and refund request procedure.
I'd like to have an explanation on agenda item 4.
Any other questions on item 4?
I believe this is exactly what George wanted. This is a fee waiver and refund request regarding which policies or which lawsuits or what it is about.
Any other public questions or comments on this? If not, we'll bring it back to the board and we'll have the CAO answer the questions.
Yes, this item is being brought from my office. It does not relate to any pending cases or lawsuits that we have. Rather, I'm trying to identify where we might have holes in our current process to make it easier for the public if somebody is requesting a fee waiver. Ordinarily, we do not grant fee waivers. When the board does grant fee waivers, those specifically have a nexus or a case to a public benefit. However, as we looked at this process, there's no real easy, direct path for somebody who is requesting that fee waiver to follow. So what we decided to do was develop a form that would then be completed. It's going to be on the clerk of the board's website. Someone can pull that form down, complete it, submit it to my office, which then would provide an initial review, work with counsel if there's questions on public benefit, and then bring it to the established agenda review committee, which is the chair, vice chair, county administrative officer, county counsel, and clerk of the board to make a determination or a final determination on agendizing that item or not. So it really provided a process or a mechanism that previously was not in place, and we felt it was better to develop something for people to be able to follow.
So if I'm a nonprofit and I'm going to do an event that requires a fee, like close the street down and put on a fair of some type, and I want to ask if I can have that fee waived, I would fill out this application and turn it in, and then it would be reviewed and brought to the board for approval or denial of the request for the fee waiver.
That is correct, yes.
So it's just a process that we've involved in filling out an application going forward to get some steady and some way of making it easier for people to just fill out a form and go ahead and get it. Okay? One question.
I know when domestic violence restraining orders obtained, you get a waiver of fees for low income. Does this have to do with people have low income and need to file a process or file does it have to do with low income at all?
No, and particularly in your example there, and counsel can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that would actually fall to the courts on any type of restraining orders. We don't have purview on the courts and what they permit or don't permit for fee waivers. Certainly, someone could do an undue hardship request, but again, it would require the board to have a public benefit finding as to if we waive a fee, what is the derived public benefit that people would gain from that.
All right. Looking for a motion?
So moved.
A motion by Supervisor Clapp,
Second.
second by Supervisor Mills. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0 with one absent. All right, moving on to the regular agenda. Madam Clerk.
This is an item from Planning. Conduct a public hearing and adopt a resolution upholding the Planning Commission's denial of the appeal of the Planning Director's denial of commercial cannabis registration application 2016-703 for Tamara J. Lister on APN 021-002-025, file 2016-703.
I have a question to County Council. First off, is the appellant here present? Okay, it goes to my question then. We're not at 9:30, and our agenda says 30 minutes for public comment. So do we need to wait till 9:30 to see if the appellant?
No, our agenda, the 30 minutes is a maximum, and the language in this does, it allows for that 30-minute. This item was not set for a specific time certain. And so with the agenda, it's known that the 30 minutes is a possibility. That's the most time that we will spend, but we certainly can move on through the agenda with less time of public comment if there are no public comments to be had.
Okay, so we will move on. The appellant is not present, so we will start with Peter and his crew.
Open the hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to open the appeals hearing. The appeals hearing is now open.
Good morning, Ben Diamond, planner trainee. Application 2016-703 was denied for failing to comply with the requirements of the urgency ordinance, specifically sections 165E and 165N7 as they pertain to protecting the environment and grading after May 10th, 2016, as well as expanding a cultivation site, as well as other violations of state and local law, including the county grading ordinance and California Fish and Game Code. This parcel is located out off of Story Road and sits directly above where Wet Prong Salamander Creek here meets Salamander Creek, which goes straight through the parcel. We'll go through some aerial imagery here first. On May 31st, 2016, we can see the site is relatively amorphous in its setup, doesn't really have a set shape, relatively follows the contour of the land. Here, the site's relatively unchanged. Perhaps a small amount of clearing has gone on, and still no change through August 20th, 2016. However, on June 2nd, 2017, we see two terraces have been installed at the site. Here, the upper terrace and a lower terrace here. On June 28th, the two terraces have been fully planted out with smart pots, and this grow area is roughly 5,000 to 6,000 square feet larger than the original, which I've outlined here. You can see there was also a small grow area down in the lower portion of the parcel, and if you overlay that with the 2017 imagery, it's no doubt that grading definitely occurred within the portion of the parcel used for cultivation, and it did result in some expansion. And here we see a picture of December 12, 2017, taken by the sheriff's office during one of their flights. You can see the fill slope on the upper terrace is eroding, and it's worth noting none of this grading was done with a permit, which if it had been, erosion control would be in place, and this erosion likely wouldn't have occurred. And on September 15th, code compliance was in the area and inspected the site. Here you see a culvert that was improperly installed. Rather than draining back into the stream channel, it just empties out onto the road. Here we can see the stream is pretty impacted by the road that goes just straight through it. The generator's unhoused, and again, the terraces are relatively pronounced. And here at the topmost cut slope on the upper terrace, you can still see the teeth marks on the cut that was done for the terracing. On October 30th, 2017, the Department of Fish and Wildlife was on the site to investigate impacts associated with a CAL FIRE notice of violation that was also served to this site, and that resulted in a notice of violation from Fish and Wildlife being served to the registrant on December 14th, 2017. Here you can see a significant amount of vegetation has been removed along the bank, which has also been somewhat pushed into the stream bed. You can see the road going straight across the creek. Here, more vegetation that was removed. Logs that were placed in the stream channel, and the stream channel is very clearly obstructed pretty significantly. And here you can see folks have been driving on the side, and it's introduced a significant amount of sediment and fill into the creek itself, as well as a lot of debris left where it can get into the water and run into the waters of the state. The trailer that was on the site is just draining into a hole. And during the hearing, the appellant had no evidence to support any of their claims, which the commission found insufficient and unanimously voted to uphold the denial.
The appellant is not here, so there'd be no presentation by the appellant. Is there any questions by the board? None? Supervisor Mills?
Yes. Thank you. The picture involving June 28th of 2017, is that lower right corner a house pad, a future down there in the lower right corner?
I'm not sure if there is a house there now. It was not permitted either. And that pad isn't entirely on the subject parcel based off of the aerials we have available. It seems that it's on both that parcel and the lower one.
So it kind of like bisects the two
Yeah.
parcels? Okay. And in that same picture, could you kind of point out where the creek is in relation to this that you were showing in your
The creek
picture?
is right down here.
At the bottom?
Yeah.
Right in there? Okay. Any idea on the next picture, December 12th, the height of that terracing?
I'm not certain the exact height, but it looks maybe
8 feet, 6 feet, somewhere in there?
pretty significant terrace.
And where did the earth go?
What's that?
When you terrace, you've got to take away earth. Where did it go? Because I'm looking at the upper terrace on the bottom edge and saying, that isn't pushed dirt, that's not compacted, that's cut. Where did the dirt go?
Well, pursuant to the contact we've had with Fish and Wildlife, a significant amount of sediment's been delivered to Salamander Creek.
Moving on, I think one other question. Is Fish and Wildlife involved in the remediation as we speak? Is there some status reports that we have on that?
The last contact I had with Fish and Wildlife was in May, but during the hearing, the appellant did say that they had an engineer in contact with Fish and Wildlife because, regardless of the outcome of this hearing, they still have to remediate the violations that they've been served. I'm not sure of the status of it at this time, though.
Will they be keeping our offices appraised of that remediation work so that it doesn't languish or fall into a black hole?
I could certainly request that.
And in your last picture of October 30th, 2017, we're talking about a septic pit? Right there on the right?
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's gray water or black water, but it's just draining into a hole.
Okay.
And where is that trailer and the trashy area in relation to the aerial photo? Good question.
I believe
I see a couple
that's
objects.
the trailer right here at the bottom of the terracing.
And again, where's the stream in relation to that again?
And the stream
distance.
is
It's quite a ways away.
right down here.
That's downhill.
Yeah.
So any flow could roll down the hill.
Yeah, that's why they were cited for the debris by Fish and Wildlife, because it could flow into the waters of the state.
Okay. All right. All right, at this time, we'll open it up for public comment, unless, Peter, you had more?
Well, just Supervisor Mills had asked about the height of the cut, and looking at one of the photos that that one there, those plants are probably 5 to 6 feet tall, so we're probably looking at a cut, fill slope of 15 to 20 feet.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear, because I was guessing about 15 to 16 feet.
Yeah, and then typically the earth movement is balanced on site. So the toe of those, the pads are where the fills. So you cut into the hillside and you push it out and compact it to some degree. I mean, if it's done properly, it's compacted and erosion control is in place. But as you can see by some of those other photos, it probably wasn't properly compacted, and there was a significant amount of erosion coming off that fill slope at the lower end of those pads.
So we're going to leave it to Fish and Wildlife to decide whether or not it needs to be removed and recompacted or what they're going to do?
Well, they're required to get a grading permit, so they're in violation of the county requirements for getting a grading permit. The county Public Works Department would be working with their engineer to ensure that those slopes are stabilized pursuant to our grading permit requirements.
We didn't single them out simply because they took a big chomp out of the dirt there, did we?
No, it came to our attention through the notification from the Department of Fish and Wildlife. So then we investigated further and found a number of violations.
And they were still in process with the application at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
And just for the record, I wanted to point out that even though the applicant is not here today, they were notified of the hearing. So it's clear that they were noticed of this hearing. There should not be a problem with them not being aware of the hearing today.
So I'll open up to public comments at this time. Is there any public comments on this issue?
That's like 10 months ago. Has this property been abated? And are there any recent photographs of what's left from this year?
Any other public comments? All right, seeing none, we'll close public comments and bring it back. And Peter, do you want to answer?
Yeah, I don't have an answer to that question. Our code compliance team is working to review as many of the former grow sites as possible to remediate those sites. So it's an ongoing process. If someone's interested, we can certainly find out where they're at. At this point, I don't know the status.
But once there's a Fish and Wildlife notice of violation, they kind of take over as trying to remediate on what's going on with what they noticed a violation was.
The state will take the lead on the areas of their purview, their responsibility, which is runoff into the stream. I'm sure they'll be coordinating with the Water Resources Board to ensure that runoff. But that's also require coordination with with the county for code enforcement and public works to ensure that the slopes are stabilized.
Have we received any notification through Public Works that a grading permit has been issued on this property, or that there's been any engineering done?
As far as I'm aware, there has not been a grading permit issued.
Okay. Any other board questions? If not, I'll close the appeals hearing and we'll have board discussion or deliberation. Any other discussions? Or Supervisor Garamendi, this is your district.
Make a motion when you're ready.
Chair, I'm really concerned, though, as to this kind of situation occurring, as to what we as a county agencies are doing and what the state is doing and what that level of coordination is going to be going forward. I really would like to be appraised of that as we move along with these kind of what I consider serious environmental issues on these properties, especially the ones like this. 16 feet or 15, 16 feet of cut is a lot of cut. So I'm very concerned that
Well, I'm looking at it, and my questions were, I think Fish and Wildlife will have an issue with that grading and those cuts, seeing how the stream is down below. And I'm sure they're probably part of that notice of violation was this that we're looking at.
yeah.
Because during, we didn't have any really heavy, we did have some rain instances, but we didn't have any very heavy ones like we did the year before.
Right.
And looking at that, I'm sure we already saw erosion, that they're concerned of it going on down into that stream and blocking that stream completely, along with opening up the stream where it's been closed and roads have been graded next to it and they're actually traveling through that stream. I'm sure that's all part of that violation. So,
No, this will be an ongoing, essentially code compliance issue that we'll need to be dealing with, both from the code perspective and public works in coordination with the state. And this is one of several sites out there that probably have similar issues that will be ongoing as we phase into the next aspect of this.
Thank you.
All right, so Supervisor Garamendi, would you like to make a motion?
So moved. We reject the appeal.
Have a second?
I will second.
So I have a motion by Supervisor Garamendi, a second by Supervisor Mills. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0 with one absent. And we don't have anything on here for board announcements, AB 1, 2, 3, 4. So we will stand adjourned.
Peter?